Jaina, on her way back from Stratholme, gets stopped by this crow. This crow flies down, this raven, turns into Medivh, and he's like, Jaina, please, I've already tried to talk to you. You're a leader, your head mage, Antonidas from Kirin Tor. He denied me. I tried to talk to Arthas' father. I tried to talk to Arthas to get their kingdom to go to Kalimdor. Now it's up to you. Get everyone you can. Lordaeron is lost. Lordaeron, you've seen it. It's only going to get worse. Get everyone you can. Try to save them. And Jaina decides that she will. And that's kind of what starts the whole Kalimdor side of Warcraft 3. Jaina eventually meets Thrall and stuff, but Arthas isn't a part of that really, so I'm not going to get too much into it. Okay, so Arthas goes to Northrend to follow Mal'Ganis. And so him and his army arrive at Northrend on the shores there, and they try to set up a camp. They start to set up a camp, and they see that undeath has already happened. They've already gotten into some fights, and they start to see these crypt lords, which are like these ant-like, undead ant-like, huge spider-like, ant-like animals. They're one of the units in Warcraft 3. They shoot spider webs. Anyways, so there's like new things that they're using in their army of the undead, and so he fights them off. He's blinded by just passion to try to kill this Mal'Ganis, and he's freaking out. And they're about to be overtaken, and Arthas is fighting as much as he can. His hammer, the light, his hammer doesn't glow as brightly as it used to. Ever since what he did in Stratholme, it's starting to dim. It's starting to fade. He's not as holy as he once was, obviously, because what he did was bad. He goes off, exploring, trying to, find out where to go to try to find this Mal'Ganis. And he hears a voice or something, or someone calling for help. And it's a familiar voice, and he goes and he helps whoever it is. And it's Mirrodin Bronzebeard with a bunch of dwarves. And Mirrodin, who's the brother of Magni Bronzebeard, the king of Ironforge, who trained him when he was a kid to fight and stuff. And it's him, and Arthas is like, holy crap, what are you doing here? And they're kind of happy to see each other. And he's like, Arthas, what are you doing in Northrend? And so he's like, we have a camp over here. Come back, come to our camp. Let's get away from these undead for a little bit. Let's eat. Let's visit. So Arthas and Magni go back to the camp, or Arthas and Mirrodin. I keep saying Magni. Arthas and Mirrodin go back to the camp, and they kind of tell each other why they're there. Mirrodin's like, oh, me and the Explorers League, because dwarves, they're like huge explorers. They're always trying to find out like their history, where they come from, and they dig and mine for artifacts and gold and whatnot. Everyone knows like Ironforge is built in the side of the mountain. That's what they do. They're like, oh, we're searching for something, some artifact. And he's like, it's very mysterious and important. Arthas tells him why he's there, and he's like, you won't believe what's going on back home in Lordaeron. Like, there's this plague of undeath happening. People are turning into whatever. He kind of leaves out what happened at Stratholme. Obviously, he doesn't want that word to get out too much. And he tells him all the stuff that's been happening. And he's like, aye, that's bad. And Mirrodin's sitting there eating because he hasn't been warm in a long time. Although dwarves are adept to the cold. But, so he finally, he tells him all about all this. And then Mirrodin kind of trusts Arthas enough. And he's like, oh, I'll tell you what we're looking for. He's like, it's this rune blade. Rune blade basically means a magic blade. Called Frostmourne. And he tells them about it, how it's like this mega powerful artifact that they've heard about, and they've heard things about, and they don't quite know too much about it, but it's supposed to be really magical and really powerful. And Arthas is like, great, let's find it. I can use this rune blade to kill Mal'Ganis. And the dwarf's like, yeah, I guess you could. And he's not too sure about it. And Arthas is like, well, we'll help you find your blade, and you can help us fight the undead and find Mal'Ganis. We'll help each other. And Mirrodin's like, sounds like a plan. So they do this, and they fight undead a couple more times while they're camping out, trying to find this rune blade. And the more time passes, the more crazy Arthas gets and wants to find it and wants to kill Mal'Ganis and, you know, wants to do what he wants to do. Until the day comes where Myrddin says he thinks he knows where it is, and they go to this cave. Before they go, there's this fight happening. Like, I think they get their town gets attacked hardcore, like their little camp where they're set up by all the undead, all the abominations, all the crypt lords, and everything just gets attacked on it. And Arthas tells his first in command to stay and fight, and me and Myrddin are gonna go find Frostmourne to help us, and I'll come back with Frostmourne, and we'll fend them all off. So they're in a panic. So I think this is a mission in Warcraft 3 again. Like, I'm trying to remember all this stuff. It's been so long. But in the book, and it seems set up like it could be a mission, and it should be. You have to defend the base while Arthas and Myrddin go off to get Frostmourne. And so Myrddin and Arthas got to go get Frostmourne while their base is being defended by what's left of Arthas' army and what's left of Myrddin's doors. So they're going to go get it right now. And Myrddin thinks he knows where it is, so him and Arthas go to get it. And they go to this cave, and they find it, and there's Frostmourne, and it's in ice, and it's like this crazy. It's described like really well in the book how Arthas is like marveling at it, and he's just in a trance, and he's like, oh my god, it's beautiful and blah, it's glowing blue and all this stuff, and Myrddin's like, he sees it, and it says something on the blade. It says, he who wields this, something to this effect, I don't know for sure. He who wields this blade becomes the slave of power or something like that, you know. And that's when it hits Myrddin. He's like, I should have known. This blade is cursed. Let's get out of here now. F it. It's not worth it. And he's like, what? Arthas is like, bullshit, no. This is what you've been looking for. This is what we've come for. This is this powerful blade, and here it is. And he's like, alright, Arthas, but it's cursed. You don't want to do this. Like, no one wants that. Like, you know, there's bad magics. There's necromancy in this world. There's warlocks in this world. Like, there's bad magic, and we're not a part of that. Especially you. You're a paladin of the light. You don't do this. And Myrddin and Arthas is like, Myrddin, you don't understand what's happening back at home. What is happening to our people. If this is the key to stop it, I'll gladly take any price to stop these people, to stop what's going on, to stop the madness that's happening, to stop the undeath that's happening to my people, to save my people, and to stop this burning legion that could be the end of the world. Myrddin's like, this isn't the answer. I know it's not. It's dark magic. Arthas he's convinced that this is the only way. He's so driven to kill the evil, which is good and bad, because that's another thing. Like, paladins, like, they shouldn't hate, you know? They shouldn't have this passion of a hate for something. But on the flip side, you can say that Arthas doesn't have this passion of hate. He has this passion of saviorism, of saving. Like, he's not passionate to kill everything right now. He's passionate to save his people. But really, Arthas is darker than it seems, and he's really passionate about killing Mal'Ganis just as much as he is saving his people. So, and he thinks this is the only way, and he's driven to do so. And he's like, Myrddin, I have to do this. I have to do this. Our camp might not even be there when we get back. They're fighting right now against this, and eventually the whole world's going to be fighting for their lives. And Myrddin is trying to convince him as hard as he can. He's like, I watched you grow up, lad. Like, please listen to me. You've always listened to me before. Listen to me now. And Arthas can't, and he eventually goes to take Frostmourne. And as he reaches for it, the ice encasing it, that's surrounding it, shatters. And Arthas, like, you know, blocks. And a shard goes into Myrddin, the dwarf, into his chest, and he falls on his back. And Arthas, like, looks at him, and he's like, no! And he runs over to Myrddin, and he's like, oh my god! And he's looking down at the guy who taught him how to fight, the guy who he grew up with, the guy who he grew up, like, idolizing, even though he's way much taller than him than he was when he was a kid. Like, he looked up to him, even though he's just a small dwarf. This guy was just as much as a mentor as anybody, as Uther as anybody. And maybe one of his only friends left in the world, since Jaina and Uther, like, turned his back on him when he did what he did to Stratholme. And he's looking at him, and he's like, oh, no! And he's like, what did I do? And he's like, he's praying to the light, even though the light is not with him as strong as it should be, being the paladin that he is. But because of the darkness in him, the light isn't coursing through his veins like it should. And he wants to heal him, and he's just like this horse Invincible, like back in the day. There's his friend impaled, and his friend the horse Invincible, and his friend Murden the dwarf, and he's just impaled with this piece of ice, and he's just praying to the light, and he feels it. He feels the familiar warmth of the light, like coursing through him. And the light's responding. The light's gonna allow him to heal his friend here, and he's about to do it. And he's about to heal him. And then he hears something in the back of his head, and it's the sword's calling to him. He looks at the sword.